Those kind words of introduction, and also coming after Hemant Satyanarayana taking us through the future, artificial intelligence. I would like to begin extending a warm welcome to the National President, Mr. Ajit Pathakji, and all the dignitaries on the dais, and eminent, distinguished personalities, professionals in the field of public relations. I begin joining you all in paying glowing respects to the PR guru, legend, Dr. Narasimha Reddy Garu, and feel very elated, proud, and privileged to be here with you all to celebrate today, this day becoming to be celebrated, commemorated as the National Public Relations Education Day. Firstly, I would like to thank the PR Society of India for affording this honor through Narasimha Reddy Garu to all of us. And also the family of Dr. Narasimha Reddy Garu for their perseverance and dedication and their continuous, ceaseless, tireless efforts to make this possible. In fact, I was greatly touched, Ravindra Reddy Garu, in our old world Hyderabadi manner. He personally came to the airport to receive me. So thank you very much for everything. My cordial greetings and salutations to one and all, especially the bright young awardees, those who have been recognized today. And as our another great Dr. C. Narayan Reddy Garu mentioned, Satkaramunu minchina Satkaryamu kalade annar. There is no better deed than recognizing the deserving persons and felicitating them and encouraging them. In particular, I would like to congratulate Dr. Harsha Bhargavi Garu. We have heard so much about her and she keeps writing. I had privilege of knowing her for some time, maybe a couple of years, and her writings keep illuminating on various dimensions. When our Ramappa temple in Warangal was enlisted in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, she has written and has thrown light on that dimension. Public relations are important. Let me say a word about this. Say, India is a great civilization, continuous civilization, and we have heritage sites and monuments. Probably at every 100 miles there is a great monument, which is a reflection of the wisdom of our ancestors. But when it comes to international tourists, our awareness about this, even among our own, there is very little about it. And efforts like Harsha Bhargavi's and also public relations is very important to make the glorious heritage known far and wide. I see that there are many who are come event. Now I was mentioning about Harsha Bhargavi writing about it, and today also she wrote this piece on cultural rights. I don't know, some of you may have seen it in the Hans newspaper that comes from here daily. I was many moons ago, I was a young diplomat. I went to Tokyo and interacted with, of course, the fellow diplomats and Japanese society, including from all different walks of life. So, one thing is curious for us, how come a fellow Asian country, Japan, has managed to make so much progress? It's a sparkling, developed country from the massive, devastating destruction of nuclear bombs. It happened only last week, commemorated August first week. How did it make such a progress? I used to ask everybody, who is knowledgeable, whom we can have reasonable, frank conversation. So somebody said, this is very interesting. He said, India, you have two problems. One is that unlike us, you don't have a kingdom or king or monarch. So your democracy. Democracy means there is no focus and there is no consensus. It's cacophony. It's boisterous and always, in my grandmother's words, taloga maata cheptaru. So each one has opinion and there is no coherence. There is no unity and harmony. This is one. I'm giving you his. Second thing is that this is also interesting. I encouraged people to come. I'm very proud of being Indian, and promote and encourage them to come to India. So they say, yeah, I've been to India. Say I was in Calcutta, then I went to South. It's so difficult that people within the country cannot communicate. You have different, so many languages, so many religions, so much of variety, costume, culture, food. Everything is very different. You should be like us, homogeneous. That was 30 years ago. Fast forward today, Japan and many other countries are also looking to India that how can we better deal with the world. So they ask me this question now. Then I answer that diversity, variety is the order of the nature. And either we can agree with the nature or adopt or perish. There is no other way that we succeed without realizing and adapting to the nature. Diversity is there, is natural. And today, thanks to our diversity, our cultural variety and heritage, that when we step out of India, it's very natural for us to be able to handle the world because within India we have seen so much variety, so many languages. From South India we have a flair for the languages, and each one speaks two, three, four languages. So it's no great distinction that I know I speak one more foreign language because even before leaving I was speaking three, four. When they went there and one speech contest, they come and ask, how do you pick up Japanese and speak so fluently as a natural speaker? I say that if you have learned your mother tongue well, and if you have learned to speak the second and third language, then fourth one is just one more. There's no great thing. Whereas it is, excuse me, Pathakji, say for Hindi speakers and also English speakers, because we make effort and speak their language, and say in fact in Japan, they would bring in the cartoons and the content, television content from all over Hollywood, Bollywood, wherever, and dub it into Japanese language. The children grow up believing that the whole world speaks their language only. You understand? So, whereas we are very clear that there is enormous diversity, so within the country we have tackled. So, today's Harsha's article that cultural assimilation and globalization are big issues. Of course, we should all be one family. We are one family, and we should think and act like one family. But at the same time, within the family, there is also a difference of opinion. I am sure my grandmother will also agree. And we should learn to take everybody along and promote affinity. Say, Ramanachari Garu, he mentioned that these days, decisions are made, petty and mean decisions and all. It's all motivated by political considerations. What is politics is division between, my people and othering. Academic circles, we say othering process. Whereas affinity is the antidote for othering. And that cultural diversity, when we grow up and today we have so many teachers, professors, and students. In your class, there is also there's so much diversity, and you won't feel terribly uncomfortable to understand how it is enriching to work with everyone. So I would like to once again heartily congratulate all those awardees. I thank National President that all of you are honorary members of the PR National Society. Congratulations and welcome. And interestingly, public relations is a strand all of us in different walks of our human life, whether it's diplomacy, is politics, or legislation, any aspect, there is the strand of public relations. And how public relations are conducted. Now, and what is the objective of public relations? I'm sure you are teaching, and there's so much literature, and Dr. Reddy Garu has taken it to promote it as a great discipline and faculty at universities. And to my simple mind, it is about addition and multiplication of value, public relations. Because otherwise, today, thanks to this ignorance or politicization or self promotion, whatever you name it, it is all about subtraction and division. Whereas through skills like public relations, one needs to constantly try, whether it is diplomacy, legislation, or social service, or industry, we need to keep adding value and also adapting into our walks of life, beginning with public relations to benefit. Then the next thing is the major tool of public relations is communications, isn't it? Whatever we do is essentially communications, and it is the word. It is, as you said, LLM. It is basically language and means of communication that creates value in public relations. And while we take pride that today we are promoting and we are also taking it to the age of artificial intelligence, but long, long ago, maybe 500 years ago, I recite our Enugu Lakshmana Kavi, what he has to say about the power of the word. మాటలు. సో నోరు మంచిదైతే ఊరు మంచిదవుతుంది అంటాం కదా ఇన్ తెలుగు. సే ఏనుగు లక్ష్మణ కవి సేస్ ఇన్ భర్తృహరి సుభాషితాలు ట్రాన్స్లేటెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ సంస్క్రిట్. మాటల చేత దేవతలు మన్నన చేసి వరంబులిచ్చెదర్. ఇఫ్ యూ స్పీక్ ద రైట్ వర్డ్, దెన్ యూ కెన్ గెట్ డివైన్ బూన్స్. మాటల చేత దేవతలు మన్నన చేసి వరంబులిచ్చెదర్. మాటల చేత భూపతులు మన్నన చేసి ధనంబులిచ్చెదర్. సో వీ కెన్ attain and aspire to get whatever we want, whether it is the material wealth or boons from the gods, we can. That is the power of the word that we use through communication in public relations. But that's only one facet. If we can also add through our thoughts and deeds, talapulache and chetalache, also, if we practice this what we mean, then I am sure there will be a great transformation of the society. I suppose you may have invited me also to mention a couple of things in the international relations arena, that how public relations, communications work. Let me take you back 23 years ago, the year 2000. End of it, President Clinton has demitted office, and he was invited to speak. See, the background is, even today, that developed countries, especially United States, they believe that the US is giving away lot of aid to developing poor countries, Africa, Asia, Latin America, leaving the Americans with very little money and making them poorer. This is a perception. This continues. And normally what happens is, in a democracy, an aspiring leader tries to understand the perception of the people and will try to play to that. He will try to benefit from that. Say, for example, say we all want Ram temple, so Ram temple is given. Or we all want some welfare measure, that welfare measure is given. This is natural democratic process. But a visionary leader would try to mold the public opinion. So this, in a speech, public speech soon after demitting office, President Clinton was explaining that you may all have an opinion that American public are uninformed, that they think that developing countries should not be given so much of aid. On that, he was saying that I have got a public opinion survey conducted. You all do that in the process of your profession also. He got a public opinion survey on what should be the right method and the quantum direction of the American governmental aid to rest of the world. So he said, the first question I got in that is very simple. Do you think American government is giving the right quantum of aid to the world? Most of them said, no, it is way excessive, way beyond what it should be. That's expected. The second question is, what should be the right quantum as a percentage of GDP? They said, it should be something about between 5 and 10% is reasonable. Whereas the truth is, the developed world has been committing 1% and only delivering way below 1%, about 0.6% or thereabouts. And we all know in climate change, they have been committing what $100 billion every year, and we have never touched that. So the point he was saying is that, so what should be the right quantum? American public themselves are saying 5 to 10% should be the right quantum. So here he's saying that I would guide the American public opinion towards taking this to 5%. And he was asking the rest of the world, saying that please do not mistake the American public. They're good people, they're a good nation. Only thing is, they're uninformed, underinformed. In Hyderabad and Urdu, we say Galat Fahmi. There is a Galat Fahmi that American government is giving away unnecessarily, unduly, excessively money. Whereas if they come to know that, they will properly appreciate the fact that developing world deserves developmental assistance. The point is that, say, rather than being victim of public opinion, uninformed public opinion, he is conscious and he is trying to make an effort both in the country to lift the people's education awareness, and also outside the world, that American public should not be simply labeled as bad people, but they are good people, uninformed, and we are working at it. So this kind of a narrative will change the perception. Otherwise, we have, as Hillary Clinton said it, that they are miserable people and uneducated people. Then another point is Japan in late 1990s. You may recall that 25 years ago, 1998, we had conducted the second round of nuclear tests, May 1998. That time, Japan is the only country to have suffered nuclear bombing, so they have understandably sensitive public opinion that nuclear weapons should be never used. Certainly among our friends, recipients of aid from Japan, there should not be any nuclear aspiration, ambition. That time, say, they got so angry with India that they used to tell, in the extended invitations also, they used to tell us that we have invited all the diplomats, but you don't need to come. That from Japan, which all of you know is a society that has politeness into an art form, for them to say that you don't need to come, which is most unfortunate, and we don't do that. Anybody, once we have invited, we never disinvite anybody. From that stage, today, Japan is India's global strategic special partner. So this was done through methodical, systematic campaign, public relations. Although Tokyo, Government of Japan, Ministry of Foreign Affairs refused to talk to us, we went from the mission, from the embassy, to all the 47 provinces of Japan, explaining to them the traditional historic relations of bonhomie goodwill, friendship between the two countries, and the context in which we were constrained to test our nuclear devices because we are surrounded by nuclear weapon capable countries. And finally, when we become stronger, we can withstand nuclear blackmail by becoming a nuclear capable country. As a friend, nuclear capable country, Japan also is better placed vis-a-vis Japan with China. At that point of time, Japanese view was solely guided by economic commercial consideration, that Japan would headlong plunge into invest in China. This aspect of strategic necessity was gone, was lost, and we showing light on this perspective, and also the fact that, I don't know, some of you may be aware, after Second World War, there were international tribunal trials, both in Nuremberg in Germany and also in Tokyo International Tribunal, to try war crimes that were committed during the World War II. And in this Tokyo International Tribunal of 13-member tribunal jury, 10 were white Westerners, one was from China, not today's People's Republic of China, but from Taiwan. One was from Philippines. Only 13th person was Indian, Justice Radha Binod Pal. Only Justice Radha Binod Pal gave the dissenting judgment out of the 13 that while the tribunal is trying Japanese as war criminals, he raised a first question that when did the trial of the victorious over the vanquished begun? See, there have been wars over history, thousands of them. Who grants jurisdiction, how this tribunal gets its jurisdiction to try Japanese vanquished simply because they lost the war? Second point is more important from humanity, that if we are trying the war crimes, how can we exclude the indiscriminate nuclear bombing of cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 August? Shall we not include the perpetrators of that bombing also? Especially as a Japanese speaker, I went to 47 prefectures like a traveling salesman, making presentations about the friendly, traditional, historic feeling between the two countries. And over a period of time, by the time of 2002, which marked the 50th anniversary, we could turn around the public opinion to such an extent. August 2000, Prime Minister came to India, Prime Minister of Japan, and to our events in Tokyo, the Emperor of Japan himself came, which is a testament that of the change of the public opinion perception and the national view. So sometimes you also know that we run into difficult situations in public relations management. In the lighter vein, 10 years ago, our foreign minister at the United Nations read a speech of another foreign minister, not Indian, but Ecuador speech. Do you know what happens is when the minister comes to speak, there is draft placed. But what happened is before him, the previous speaker came and spoke, Ecuador, and that speech was there. Without noticing, he kept reading that. So I'm sure this kind of situations are very familiar to PR professionals. How do you survive that? So a spokesman was asked to suitably do the damage retrieval. How do you do this? So we figured out that there was once an Irish prime minister who also read this happens, hey hota hai, no big deal. And for good measure, we also dropped the name of Barack Obama, who is a celebrated, eloquent speaker, saying that Obama also did it once. Well, my point is that we save the day, public relations professionals, but at the same time, Sharmaji has mentioned about the great, noble, lofty ideals of public relations. While saving the day, we should also not lose the sight of the collective and eternal interest. Say, truth has many facets, many shades, but for the sake of today's expediency, we should not compromise with the eternal collective good. I would like to call upon all the distinguished PR professionals to strike a balance between saving the day and also serving the truth and promoting affinity and harmony. I would like to once again pay rich tributes to Narasimha Reddy Garu, who has made it all possible for us to get together today. Say what all he has done coming from very humble origins. The family has recalled Madam Ramadevi Garu, that from the time that he did not have money to study his undergrad degree, that what all he has done is accomplished is nothing short of a miracle. And Narasimha Reddy Garu, Narasimha reminds me of the god Narasimha. I would say Narasimha is god of innovation because he was given a very difficult task. So, Swami, we have to eliminate this villain who cannot be killed in the day, who cannot be killed in the night, who cannot be killed indoors, who cannot be killed outdoors, who cannot be killed by man, cannot be killed by animal, cannot be killed by weapons. So, ticking all the boxes very innovatively, Lord Narasimha has delivered. So, similarly, our Nalgonda Narasimha Reddy Garu has promoted PR into such a fine discipline which we all need for harmonious, overall, comprehensive, inclusive socio-economic development. I would like to once again pay rich tributes to Narasimha Reddy Garu and commend their family for their continuous noble perseverant work, and congratulate the Public Relations Society, Hyderabad chapter, for hosting this.